I know I said I was going to restore this car, but the pull of making it rear wheel drive and a V8, it's back again. I can't resist it this time. And while I was messing around experimenting with different engines in the coupe, I dropped the V8 in to see what it looked like, see if it fit. And it does. So this is the way forward. I'll list all the pros and cons that I went through to come to this decision. Rather than go on about it now, I'll put all those in the description. So the advantage of a longitudinal engine is you can get the crane round it, as opposed to a transverse engine, which is just more awkward. Should we see what happens? Let's give it a go. Well, that fits a bit better than I expected it, to be honest. But it's not as big as I thought. I've got bees coming in. Look at that. Went in that little hole. Maybe if you can drop one of these in a Ford Focus. It's going to fit in there, isn't it? That fits so much better than I thought it was going to. Obviously there's a steering rack and a cross member to get out of the way. But it fits so much lower than I thought it was going to fit. I thought it was going to be sticking out the bonnet. If I can just get the engine to sit there without being on the crane, I'm going to give it a try. So this is the interior of the car. There is. I mean, it's probably about where I'd have my seat anyway. So there's plenty of room width-wise to bring a tunnel out to there. And that whole firewall is one piece. As you can see, from that lower line is the bottom of the firewall, and then it's spot welded all the way around. So if need be, we've got some ginger in there, look. Ooh. So I could just unpick that whole section. I guess that's why they can. I guess that's how they can do the left and right hand drive. They just switch that for one with this piece. But we've got a very nice gap across here, loads of room. It's a pretty square engine bay. And I thought having the engine over this point up to here, over the line of the drive line, would cause handling problems, but when I put that 2.4 diesel engine in here, it was so much heavier than the V8. It's unbelievably heavy. And not forgetting that obviously the gearbox for the V8 is going to sit way back there. So I think the balance is going to be better than it would be with the original. Remember when I had this on a weighbridge at work, we were pulling 900 kilos on the front axle and 400 on the rear. So if I can improve that massively, because I mean it wasn't a bad handling car, but you knew there was a lot of weight in the front. You knew about that. It'd wash out, and, you know. See, this cross member's not much cop anyway, this subframe. So It doesn't matter if I butcher that up. Steering rack's gonna have to go. But yeah, it'll be good. Okay, there is a bit of rust on this old beast. Some things are gonna have to change. Ooh. Rust. But the rest of it's still essentially pretty good. So, how do you go about moving this to this side? Okay. This is going to need some cleaning up, and I need to take it off. Luckily it's undone at the front. Let me get on with that. Let's get some cleaning up. So we're up on axle stands. Cleaned it up a little bit, just give it a quick. So next I need a tool that I can bolt onto this, and then I can bolt it into a rigid position at the top, and I can take a load of measurements, and so I know exactly where the hub is. Okay, so that's everything stripped off. Well, the hub stripped off. Came off a lot easier than I anticipated it was going to, considering how grotty everything is. Anybody think I live near the coast? Right then, so now it's time to try the trick part. Okay, so with my Super Fandango hub stub axle alignment tool, to get it square bang on the original setup, I had to put 2 washers in. So it's only a little bit off. A little tiny bit. Up here is a hole which is in the same place the other side, and I put a bit of threaded rod in, nipped it up. I know that that's my stop, and it's perfect. So what this is the passenger side hub fitted on the driver's side, and it fits nice, and it puts it back the center line and the caster in exactly the same position as it is when it's on the other side, and it will be, because the center point here and the center point here are in the same place. So it's in the center, so it's always going to be in the center. The only thing I was worried about was camber, but it's hardly much at all, really. So I'm really pleased with this. This does mean that the Brembo calipers will go on the back side instead of the front. Can't see that making much difference. And now we've got a tie rod mounting point at the front. Now we've got our steering rack location at the front instead of the back. And with the aid of this little piece of kit here, I should be able to change the position of the tie rod. I've got to give full credit to this idea for a guy who's doing a similar conversion on a Ford Focus. I'll put a link to that in the description. Go check him out, it's great. So James, thanks mate. Awesome. So instead of having a steering rack up there in the way, we can move it here. We just got to sort all the bump steer angles and all that malarkey out. Look at that rust. Look at that. Terrible. Awesome. Happy with that anyway. Brilliant. Okay, so I've stripped all that stuff off. We're hubless. Got rid of the power steering patch that was in the way. And then I'm going to take the steering rack out. Well, I did a thing. It'll fit now. Well, it's the end of the day. We've got a gap. Should be big enough to get the gearbox through. For mocking up purposes, obviously. I'm going to take the grinder to that, make an hole in it, mount the gearbox on the V8, slip it in. Bang on. Looks good. This is where I try and demonstrate how the V8 is going to make this handle better than the original engine, which is there. Now that lot in there weighs 300 kilos, and that it is over the center line of the axle. It doesn't look it in that picture, but it is. Which has the gearbox, the manifolds, the turbo, the battery, all of that stuff. So if we get rid of that, drop this all aluminium V8 in there, 265 kilos. That's with the gearbox as well, and that is a lot further back, and that's without having to push the engine back into the bulkhead and into the cabin. And that is why we can carry on with this project now. So there we go. Once again, please like it, subscribe if you haven't already, give me a comment, let me know what you think. Thanks guys.